Hello and welcome to Yoked, where
Hello.
we are.
I just have to make my presence felt in that. But anyway, go right
You
ahead.
kind of gave a Mrs. Doubtfire vibe, like, hello.
It's been so long since I've seen that. So anyway.
I love that movie. We are Catherine and Jermaine. We are here at Yoked, where we are helping couples to build covenant marriages through love and laughter. And today we have Tanai Benard and her husband Darius. They are speaking to us about life, love, and marriage after divorce. And y'all, this is gonna be a good one.
Excited.
Yes, that's his excited face. So welcome Tanai and Darius. All right, so we have Tanai and Darius with us. Tanai is from Wandering Moms, and she has her own site, TanaiBenard.com, and we are so happy to have them here with us today. Can you say hi?
Hi. How are you?
So at the time of recording, this is very early and pre-coffee, so we're gonna do our best. If I seem overly awake, it's because I'm compensating for lack of coffee. So yeah, we'll just do that. So Tanai and Darius, all the people want to know, can you tell us how y'all met and a little bit about your dating story? Mostly because we're just nosy and we want to know these things. You want to start?
Actually, we met on Facebook in a Facebook group, and it was a post that she put out about dating with children. And I pretty much just laid it all out because I am also have children and was a single father. And I was like, I'm already out of the running. Nobody would touch me with a 10-foot pole. And she was like, well, why not? And so I slid into her DMs and pretty much went from there, laying it all out like, oh, this is my situation. This is how it is for me. And this is why it's hard for me to date. And just kind of went from there.
So on my end, what happened was someone dropped me in the Facebook group. Like, you know what, people can put you in Facebook groups and you have no idea. Yeah. So I guess one of my followers decided it was time for me to get out there and date. So she was like, well, let me just drop her in a group. And that's what happened for me. She dropped me into a Black singles group at the time it was called RBL. And I think the same thing happened for you,
yeah,
a family member.
My cousin put me in there, feeling sorry for me.
Just threw y'all in a pot of gumbo. It was
just... I guess they got tired of hearing our sad stories of being single. So that's what happened for me. So I decided I was going to engage in conversation in the group. And I really wanted to know about dating as a single parent. Like, I know everyone has their expectations. Everyone has their list of requirements. And I wanted to see if people out there had a certain limit of children that were too many children for them to date. Like if a lady had 2 kids, 5 kids, like what's your number? And I was interested. I wanted to know. I didn't want to count myself out, but hey, if people are like, yeah, 2 kids is too much. Well, I have 3, so, it's no need for us to even talk. And he came on and was like, I have 4. And people already, they're deucing on me when I say 4. Say 4. So I was like, but I don't get it. He was like, I'm financially stable. I'm career oriented. But by me having 4 children and 2 baby mothers, I'm out the game. And so from there, he slid into my DMs and we had private discussions about the situation from there.
Yeah. So to help the audience, tell us a little bit about where you were before y'all were even thrown into the group. Like, what was your individual situations like prior to that? And how did you get there?
I think for me, being a single parent, I kind of was just focused on just raising my kids. So I wasn't really thinking about dating anymore, not so much. Kind of gave up for a little bit because, I think, but for me, that helped me to focus on myself and focus on being a better person and being a better father. And so I think I was a little bit more presentable instead of coming off as maybe a little bit desperate, I guess.
Yeah.
So once I had that and I knew I could do this on my own, I don't really need anybody. It would be nice, but I think it helped me build to have a compliment to me instead of, I need this woman to help me raise these kids. kind of deal. It's just a
Yeah.
compliment of each other. And that's where I was. And I was just retiring from the military. So
No, you hadn't even retired yet.
no, I was not. I was
Yeah.
I was on the way out. I was
Yeah.
on the way out. It was
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
door was knocking.
And actually, he was in North Carolina.
Now,
Yeah. It was starting to get a little dicey.
Yeah, so when we met, he was in North Carolina, and I was just moving back from Abu Dhabi. So I was moving back from overseas, and I was in Texas at the time when we met. And I was a single parent of 3. I was out of my divorce for about 4 years. I had got, I was 4 years in the game, and I think you were probably like, what, 7?
7 years.
7 years divorced. And so we were it was a long distance relationship for us for a very long time. So we met on Facebook. I think we talked for about 4 months, just talking, chatting. I think I might have been the one to come up with the video chat. Like, hey, I need to see your face. Make sure I'm not being catfished.
You already know.
Yeah.
Let me see your whole face.
Yeah.
And then we video chatted, and I realized that it was, I appreciated that he made time for me, because we were both single parents. And so we had a standing date every night at like, what, 9 o'clock? It was like 9 o'clock Central, 10 o'clock
10 for me.
Eastern, every night once we put the kids to bed to talk, And for me to have a single parent say, okay, I'm gonna stop what I'm doing and not use my children as the excuse to date, was very important for me.
Good. So, Darius, you had custody of your.
Well, in my marriage, my previous marriage, I had 2.
Okay.
Ran into a little entanglement post divorce, and was blessed with
You
twins.
can't have an entanglement after your divorce.
It's an entanglement after the divorce. So
Okay.
I ended up with twins, and I had custody of my twins.
There you go. Okay. Cool.
Twin girls.
Yeah, twin girls. I got a 2 for 1. Well, people say 2 for 1, but it's 2 for 2. I paid double for everything. So
Yes. The cost is not just for one.
No.
no.
Oh, no.
Mm-mm.
All right. Well, good.
Yeah, see, we didn't, and part of why I was really interested in knowing, kind of like the family thing, because like when we got together, we didn't have like the children aspect of trying to, merge a family.
Right. There was a child in there.
Yeah.
And that was a whole deal.
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you want,
relevant?
if you want to.
And so for me, where I was when we met, I was actually still separated from my.
You almost got me into an entanglement.
There was no intention.
I was trying.
There was no intention to entangle.
I was trying.
But for me, yes. So I was separated from my wife at the time, and there was a child involved, and so we had to, in order for me to get visitation, through the courts, you have to set up. You have to do the DNA test, and through the DNA test, we found out the child was not mine. So that brought up a whole nother set of emotions for me in it, and then I had to, separate myself from that whole situation legally. And so she was very patient in waiting for me to do that.
Yeah.
It didn't take a whole long time, but still.
But I mean,
to happen.
We thought that we would be facing like, how do we start a relationship and make sure that you're still, being there for your child. And then once we realized that really wasn't the case, it's like, okay, how do we move past like the hurt and the trust issues and all of those things for you to be okay with being in another relationship? Because it wasn't a situation of, well, I'm leaving this woman and I don't have to worry about paying child support. Like there were so many more emotions involved in that affected how he felt about marriage. So
did y'all have those kind of thoughts or emotions with being able to give your trust to someone else?
Well, I think for me initially, yes. initially when I first got divorced, because I did deal with having to confront infidelity and, trust issues, because I came out of a toxic relationship. And before I met him, that was something I worked on for myself, because I felt like I couldn't even properly date someone until I confronted a whole bunch of things that I had dealt with. So I had to do a lot of self-reflection before I decided I'm going to really start dating seriously. And so for me, yes, I had to confront the trust issues. It was self-reflection. I had to do a lot of praying. I had to do a lot of soul searching, and I had to accept some responsibility of my past relationship, of what went wrong.
Yep.
Because I couldn't put 100% on him, on my ex. There was some things that I could have corrected. We were both young, and we weren't in a position to be married at all. Like, we shouldn't. That was not a God ordained marriage. That was more of a man made. like, yo, I'm pregnant again. We getting married. Period. So we were never taught how to properly have a healthy relationship. Neither myself or my ex. We had nothing before us to say this is how a relationship should go. Neither one of our parents had stayed in a relationship. Our parents were divorced. So that's all we knew, was how to hold on to toxic relationships. So to answer your question, I personally did a lot of soul searching and a lot of praying and reflection. What about you?
I would say for me, it was just, I had to sit back and just take stock of myself. And, but also for me, I had to kind of forgive so I can move on instead of holding on to, I can't stand. Like, it was a lot of nights where I was sitting there like, look at this. And she had already moved on. So it was like, she already happy. It's all this and that. That's how I ended up with twins. So I wish I would have just taken the time and just found the right person instead of just saying, well, I want to be happy too, instead of looking for myself, for my own happiness. And so after the girls, I had that time to sit down, be myself, take care of my kids. And I think that's what helped me.
I guess I find it's so rare to see people who are like that self-aware and willing to put in the work. I think that with a lot of people and in a lot of couples that we see, it's a situation of, it's always the other person, and I have no responsibility in what is going on and what's wrong, and I don't need to fix me. And it's like, selfishly, it's refreshing to see, meet people who are, have been willing to do the work and take marriage seriously. Like with our situation, when we were even considering marriage, I was like, okay, let's get married. I love you, and that's enough. And he was like, he's like, it's not enough. And he, so what we did was he decided that we needed to.
I suggested strongly.
You decided.
Strongly suggested.
You decided. He decided that we were going to talk to other couples who had been married longer, and ask them how they navigated certain issues in marriage, because when he got married, he was young. How old were you? Like 24?
No, I was 22, 23.
When he got married the first time. And it was just, okay, I love this woman. I'm going to get married. This is what we should do. And
seemed right at the time.
And so when it was my turn, I'm like, okay, I love you more than she did, and I'm not going to cheat on you. So we just need to get married. And I don't know what all this foolishness is that you're talking about. But we interviewed couples. So it was like 3.5, 4 pages of questions. Like, how do you raise your children? Are you going to go to church together? Are you going to serve in ministry? How much sex are you supposed to have? Like, all of these questions that we would ever want to know about marriage. And we did that to make sure that we were on the same page. And after it was said and done, I'm like, this was the best thing ever. Like, I didn't go into it with that attitude, but, coming out the other side, I'm like, it really made me look at who I was and what I wanted. And when we got married, I was 33 when we got married. And I think before that I was rushing into, okay, I'm at this age, I have to hurry up and get married so I can have kids and, do all of these things. But had I gotten married before him, it would have just been like, no, like it would have been so bad, because the prospects that I had were just really bad people. Like, just should not have been dating them, let alone trying to marry them.
And so was there like, in your approach to this new relationship, was the approach different? Of course you had a different set of circumstances, but how did you approach it differently than you did your first marriages?
Well, this one was primarily long distance, so you have to learn a lot about each other before you even see each other. So that's the hidden jewel in all of that. That we actually had to know each other first before we even had physical contact, as in just seeing each other face to face. So
I think that removed the infatuation part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was no touching, no kissing. So those feelings that I had were pure feelings. So it's not like, oh, I like him because, he's good in bed. It was I like our conversation.
Yeah. And I think that's what helped us. And we also did a lot of, during that process, we would read relationship books and the high points and how we need to communicate with each other, or, even our love languages and stuff like that. So the long distance helped us.
Love language, share with the people.
Mine is what? Giving?
What? I don't know. What's your quality?
Yeah.
What's your?
I forgot.
I know mine. Quality time. That's been, mine. And I think it's kind of switched, because as you grow and develop, your love language does evolve with you. So at this moment with coronavirus, mine is quality time. By the time this is over with, I'm sure I'm not going to want nobody's quality time no more for the next 9 months. But yeah, we did a lot of educating ourselves. Mm-hmm. And our relationship was built on communication, because that's all we had, So every night we had to communicate for an hour and have a whole conversation and talk to each other for an hour. So what we would do as part of our date nights, per se, would be, we would have a book, we would pick a book, and we would alternate on each month who would pick the book. So, and every day we had to read a chapter on our own time. And then we would take that chapter and come and discuss how we felt about it and our stance on it. So we read books like The 5 Love Languages. What's the other one? People Factor, DNA of Relationships by Steve Moody. And then we would watch Black Love.
Yeah, that was the one. Yeah,
we watched episodes of Black Love to find out why everybody else's relationship was a mess, and then talk about how we felt about that particular situation. Like, how would we deal with that if that came up in our marriage? Like,
they're still together. Can you believe it?
They're still together. They got an outside kid. I'm not gonna be having that, but so that helped us kind of build and know what each other's expectations were. Because I remember, was it Viola Davis and her husband were on Black Love. And they brought up credit scores and debt in their episode. And his credit score, I think it was his, right?
He had a good one.
He had a good one. She had a horrible credit score. And so it was like, what did he say? Like, I knew your butt.
I knew you had bad credit. I love you. I'll take care of you, though.
Yeah. So that particular episode was a leeway for us to have a conversation about credit. Like, what's your credit score? And a lot of people have hard times discussing finances and relationships, and that's something that's very important before you get married. It's talking about where you stand, financially. What does your portfolio look like? Are you broke, or, that I need to know.
Like, are you broke bebecause you're saving for something, or are you?
Yeah. Are you just reckless? Right.
What's your spending habits? So that's how we kind of build on ours, since we were long distance, so like you guys asked other married couples, but unfortunately we didn't have that opportunity as much. Yeah. So we sought into educating ourselves through reading and, different television shows that we were able to kind of capture advice from.
Yeah. When the Will and Jada thing came out, and, I'm having a moment of humility right now, because one of my friends posted, "Don't go to marriage counseling, just watch this episode." And I'm like, you need to go to marriage counseling. But you know what? You're right. Y'all watched Black Love and saw what folks were doing wrong. Be like, let's not do that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, when she said, I'm like, okay, she might have been on to something, watch the foolishness going on over here and don't do it.
Yeah, and I think it's to point out that there are different avenues, there are different ways to go about achieving the same goal.
Yeah.
I think the important thing to bring out is that each individual person has identified, hey, something bad happened. It's not all the other person's fault. Some of it is my responsibility, and I need to reflect, do some self-reflection to understand what part I played in it, and then try to grow and heal from that so I can be a better partner for whoever I get into the next relationship with. Not an entanglement, but an actual relationship.
I think I've seen a share of bad relationships too. So that alone, seeing it was my teacher as well. Like, hey, you guys are really messed up. But
it was be there.
Yeah.
And
but
so,
they were married.
And so just digging a little deeper, what is one thing from your previous relationship that you found out about yourself that you're like, man, this is where I could have done better, or this is the thing I need to address within me? What was that one thing?
I think for me, it was learning how to balance motherhood and being a wife and still being a woman. I think where I went wrong is I engulfed myself too much into another person, that I lost myself, that I started letting things be okay that shouldn't have been okay, So I went wrong because I stopped being Tanai and I started being that person's wife and this person's mother. And so I started drowning, which started affecting me mentally, emotionally, and physically, to where I started to allow the verbal abuse and the physical abuse in that marriage. And because I was trying to save him, so I basically drowned and stopped being who I should have been and stopped voicing my opinion and standing up for my values, because I was trying to save this brother. Like, I can save you. I'm strong enough to save you, me, and everybody in this household. So that's something I had to realize in my next relationship, that I still had to be a person in order for the relationship to thrive, that I still had to know who I was in that. So I think that's something that I'm strong about right now, to make sure that I know where I belong as a woman, as well as a wife and a mother.
I think for me, it was communication, and I still struggle with this even right now. But the situations were a little bit different. So I would, in the military, you're deployed, you're away a lot. Stressful situations I probably could have talked through a lot better looking back on it 2020. So definitely in my reactions, I learned. So I like to listen first before I react.
It kills me.
I guess she just wants me to be like, nah, hell no. This how it's about to go down. And I don't do that.
No, I just need you
listen.
If I say something, I'm sorry, we're going to have a counseling session right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I have an issue with something, he will let me talk for like an hour straight before he responds. And he would listen. And I'm like, no, in the 5-minute segue, after I finish this topic, I need you to say, because I'm going to forget what I was even talking about an hour ago. And this is not even going to be an argument anymore. He'll listen the whole hour and be like, okay, but this is my takeaway. And I'm like, but that don't even matter no more. That was 5 minutes ago. I mean, that was like, the first 5 minutes of the conversation. But anyway,
yeah,
we'll have an off-camera chat.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know, because there may be somebody dealing with that's listening to this, and it's like, yeah, I do that too. I need to address that within me. For me, it was communication as well, but it was more communication in the aspect of verbal expression. I was I was so reserved in a prior life that I would just not talk, and I would just not talk for hours on end. I wouldn't say anything. And they will leave her wondering, like, what's wrong? I'm like, nothing's wrong. I'm watching TV. It's just like, well, you're not smiling, you're not saying anything, so something must be wrong. And it's like, no, I'm good. So just understanding that I need to, at some point, every 30 minutes or so, probably too long, I need to say something to my wife, even if it's just, or even if it's just a chuckle. I need to give a verbal cue that everything is cool.
I mean, I didn't do it to you.
I'm just saying that's what I.
But I mean,
what I learned. Like those verbal cues are necessary to just grease the wheels of happiness.
But I mean, it's you have one, but it's when we talked about in like the earlier part of our relationship dating phase was with that whole like I'm not gonna say anything, the way that he grew up and the different things that he dealt with as a child, like he was never like allowed or encouraged to speak up when something was wrong or something was bothering him or he didn't like a situation. Like he was always kind of like shut down. So in his first marriage, when his wife did things, he just would not address it and just be like, well, I'm not going to say anything, and just as long as she's happy, I don't have to be happy, but happy wife, happy life, kind of going with that mantra. And that, I think that caused a lot of problems because, the same with you, Tanai, like it was allowing things to happen when you should have been speaking up. But like now he still kind of has that personality, and I'm just like, are you all right? Are you sure you're all right? And I'm learning that this is who he is. So to stop asking if he's, if something's wrong, to trust that he's going to let me know, babe, we need to talk,
Yeah.
I'm
a thinker. And so I spend a lot of time in here.
Yeah, very much so. Whereas I'm like, hey.
Amen.
But
yeah, I'm a talker as well. So I get to the point where, am I oversharing? Like, is this, because he's not sharing nothing. Like, I have to check in, like, are you good? Is everything good? We're good? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm not good. So let's talk. So I have to come to a point of deciding what's worth, bringing to the table and, what can be held back. Because I don't want to seem like I'm the one that's always bringing stuff to the table, to the red table talk. And so yeah, I get it.
Okay. Do y'all have a red table?
Oh no.
No, they don't sell them big enough for our family.
A red table, I don't know if we need one of those right
deep.
now. Is it?
That's deep.
You said you don't know if you need one of those right now. So my next question is, so how has the first year of marriage been?
It's been easy outside the coronavirus. I think this quarantine, I don't think any first year couples expect to be held up for 6 months in their house with their mate. So it gives
and children.
And their children. So it gives you a lot of time to learn, about what your mate likes and what they don't like. And it also gives us a lot of time to be supportive of one another. Mm-hmm. And it gave us a lot of time to just blend as a family. Because for a very long time, our life was go, 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 go. Because we do have, total we have 7 children. So it was gymnastics, it was basketball, it was football, it was, it was all tutoring.
Music.
Just constantly going, going. So for the first half of our marriage, it was just like, hey, we're seeing each other passing in the wind. Like, hey, what you doing today? You good? Okay, I'm tired. Let's go to sleep. And so that was it. So now it's like, oh, you actually like this TV show. You like anime. Let me sit down and watch this with you. So it's been interesting. Yeah.
Okay. So y'all have been married for, did we say that on camera? How long?
No, we didn't. Next year.
Almost 1 year.
August 31st will be 1 year.
Okay. And so how long did y'all date before you were married?
So dating, because we were online, I don't know where we started actually dating. For the first 4 months of it, we didn't even meet each other. But he did ask me to be his girlfriend before we met. in person.
No, they did video because she had to make sure
Right.
she wasn't being catfished.
Right. And then you asked her, like, you sent her like email circle, yes?
Yeah, actually, that's what it was. It was actually a text message.
Okay.
Like,
circle yes or no.
do you want to be my girlfriend?
Yes, no, or maybe.
Technically, like for real.
Be direct.
Yeah. That was it. I was sitting at work and I get a text message saying, "Hey, do you want to be my girlfriend?" And I was like, "Oh, how cute. We grown, but we still circling yes and no."
She said in a conversation, because I listened, that she never really had a boyfriend or any of that. So I was like, okay, well, let me just slip this in, even though we're adults. I know, but well, innocence. Yeah, I mean.
I appreciate that he knew that it mattered to me. He knew confirming where I stood in his life by a title actually mattered. So we actually dated, let's see, for the first 4 months, it was online. Then we met in October. And then you moved to Texas in July. So October to July was long distance. And then he moved to Texas in July of 2018.
18.
And then he proposed February. And then we got married 6 months later.
Like Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was pretty quick. Well, not quick, but it was quick enough.
Yeah. So y'all knew each other less than 2 years before getting married.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Just a shade under 2.
Yeah.
Long distance kind of ages a relationship quick.
Oh yes, I agree. That's why I said for us, that was the hidden jewel in all of it. We had to know each other real quick, especially since I was moving to Texas. So I really had to know if this was going to be it, because everything I know was the big no. Don't move into, move into your own place together. Don't move into nobody else's house. So that was
that was a big conversation, because I had my own house in Texas. That was a house that I initially had with my ex-husband.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of talk, from his camp about, moving into another man's house.
You got 1 year to, my father said, he was like, if you don't move out within 1 year, you might have some problems.
So that was the advice. So that was a part of our relationship that we had to talk through. Like, are you comfortable moving in, to the house that I had my previous relationship in, and if you're not comfortable, what is our plan from there? So are we in a position to buy a new home? So
that's when that good credit comes in.
That good credit score. And those VA benefits.
Yeah.
So how was it, when did your children meet each other?
They came to visit North Carolina, and they met the twins. My older 2 are with their mother in Tennessee. So they visit periodically. Due to Corona, I've seen them a lot, which is another blessing. But so they all met, but I still think there was some trepidation about, oh, you taking me away from my mama and stuff like that, and you're taking me away from you're taking my daddy away. That was there, big time
initially, and because we were dating long distance, we had to first start off with Skype. So the kids met via Skype first. Then I drove my 3 children down to North Carolina, and they met the twins personally, but we still had the other 2 children to try to feed in and, get part of the bonding experience, which was hard because he only seen them on holidays and summer. So then we had that obstacle of how to get them involved so they didn't feel like that they were left out of the whole process as well. So I think that summer you moved to Texas was probably the first summer where all the kids had the opportunity to meet each other.
Okay.
Cool. So how are they getting along now? I mean, so you have 5 in your home now with you?
We have 5 in the home, and then 2 who, well, 1 is an adult at this point, and then we have 1 who visits us regularly. So now I think it's still a work in progress. It's not something that happens overnight, because you have to realize you have 9 different individuals with 9 different individual communication styles, because you have to realize I have the way I raised my children, my 3, the way he raised the twins, and then the way the other two, mother has raised them as well. So we're learning, like we're trying to teach them all the same, but at this point they've been in a certain parenting style for X amount of years. So just trying to figure out how to get everybody to understand everybody else in the household. Just as if you had 9 adults in the household, it's still gonna be hard.
Right.
So just think about having 7 children, and then in the process of it, my children lost their father. So now we have 3 grieving children who are grieving the loss. So just adding all that into a pot and trying to mix it together and get a good gumbo out of it is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say though, and I know you might feel this way, but once we moved, it became a lot better for me. Because to me, it felt like I was showing my value to the house, that I just didn't come and invade their privacy and their territory, that this is what we could do when we're together. So that was important to me,
Buying
to
the house.
get our own house, yes. And we could start and have fresh memories with us, as opposed to me being in her old house and,
Right.
in the space wise, it was, upgrades were needed for this big family. So
Everybody have their own room?
oh yeah.
Well, the twins share.
Okay.
So we have 6 bedrooms, but the twins share. Yeah.
What are the ages of the children that live in your home now?
So in the house, we have she'll be 16 next September. So we have a 15-year-old, 13-year-old, 12,
and 9.
2 9-year-olds. And then in Tennessee, we have a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Okay.
So all the way from 19 to 9.
Yeah.
All I heard was like hormones. Yes.
Wow.
So like he's very introverted, and he's, the older 2 are very introverted as well. So getting everybody to come out their rooms and, participate in family bonding, and it's definitely an obstacle, but I think, it's something that as time goes by, will grow.
Yeah.
I didn't consider that.
What?
I didn't consider being an introvert, but being in a house full of people.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to hide out because everybody has their own room. So
Yeah. So which makes it harder to bond as a family, because it's like, can you come out your room just for 30 minutes, please, all at the same time, so we can all talk. We'll play, we started playing a card game.
Phase 10.
So they got everybody, movie nights, cooking challenges where the kids compete against each other, because we have a whole, starting lineup, so we can split them down the middle.
Yeah.
So they enjoy that. So those are the type of things we've tried to come up with to make sure that we fuse in some family time.
Yeah.
Exercise, just little stuff.
Exercising together. So he works out. The drill sergeant in him comes out, and he works out with the older kids.
They're all quitting now, though, so we'll probably take a break.
But yeah,
Okay.
I'm the introvert. Like nobody ever believes me, but I'm the introvert and he's the extrovert.
Yeah.
We did the Myers-Briggs assessment and presented it to our minister when we did our premarital counseling, and they were like, "Did y'all do that right? Like, I think you messed up." And I'm like, "No, I'm the introvert."
Yeah.
But yeah, you said you didn't consider like an introvert living in a house full of people. I was like, that was making me anxious just hearing about like how many people in the house. I would hide and just like, you know what, I'm just gonna be over here.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm a true pure extrovert. I think I'm an ambivert.
We're both ambiverts.
I'm an ambivert too.
Oh yeah.
Extrovert, I'm stronger introvert. So, but yeah, that whole like, I love people for like 45 minutes, and I'm like, all right, I'm over it. I'm done. I'm going back in my room.
And I'm okay being around people, but I don't have to talk to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm an ambivert. I can turn it off and on, but I prefer to be by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a total introvert.
I can be around people. I can socialize, but when it's my time, I need to just chill out.
Yeah.
Like I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah. I can socialize. It's just,
Yeah.
you know.
Conversation, and I'm good.
Yeah.
Why is being a counselor is perfect, because I really only have to talk for a couple minutes. As long as I make a strong couple minutes, refreshed after an hour of them just talking. Do nothing. There, listen, say something deep for like 2 minutes, and they feel like, man, you are awesome.
Spitting hot fire.
He is not lying. Like when I was in grad school, his one of his professors came up to me and was like, man, your husband, he doesn't say a lot, but when he does, man, it's like, what?
I have to say a lot. I give you 2 strong minutes. 2 strong minutes of talking, and I'm good.
Yep.
Oh, we're a bunch of weirdos. So I guess, I mean, y'all have given such amazing advice and insight on, you know, what it's like to divorce and then date and remarry. It's honestly, I mean, it makes my heart so happy just to hear your story and know that you've put in so much work and are, you know, truly living in a covenant marriage. Like I absolutely love y'all. I'm like, can we be best friends now? Because I really friends with you. What wisdom would you impart upon, you know, people from, you know, a man and a woman's perspective? What would you tell them when they are going through a divorce and are still looking or considering getting remarried? Like what would you tell them to make sure you do this for yourself, the other person, you know, in that vein?
I think first you have to believe that there is love after divorce, that it is possible. But before you do that and you decide that you want to be in another relationship, is to always work on yourself first. I'm a firm believer of being 100% whole and healed before seeking somebody else out to complete me. I don't think my husband will complete me. I was a complete individual before I even entered my marriage. He compliments me.
Yeah.
You know, he helps me grow. But I would tell anyone that's coming out of divorce, make sure you're healed and you're whole and you have a clear understanding of what your value is as an individual. I dated myself, like date yourself before, because if I can't love myself properly, I can't express to someone else how I need to be loved.
Right.
You know, what about you?
Nah, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just take your time, know yourself, love yourself. Most importantly, just love yourself, know who you are, and be 100% when you're going to date the next person. I think that's very critical. Don't think, oh, this person's we're going to be a whole together. No, you got to be 100% and 100% and come together from there and just make each other better from that. Because, you know, 50 and 50 only gives you 100. 100 and 100 will give you 200, you know, basic. So that's what I wanted to bring in, that, you know, we're both good. We're both solid. We're both doing it on our own, but together we're going to be able to do who knows what. And I think that's helped.
And I think once you come out of divorce, you're so eager to be in relationships that you accept anything. And I think know your deal breakers, you know, acknowledge the red flags in your next relationship and know when to walk away.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that a lot of us, we probably tried to hold on longer than we should have because of the fear of being single and the fear of being alone. Yeah. You know,
especially if the other spouse has already moved on.
Yeah.
That, as in my case, it was like, oh, you happy? Oh, I'm gonna be happy too. And then I should have just sat my butt. Well, it worked out with two little ones, but I should have sat my butt down.
Yeah.
But all things happen for a reason. I can't really complain. I'm in the best position to me in raising these two little girls, but I should have taken a moment. But you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And so one last thing. Are y'all going to have any kids together?
Say, huh? What? I can't hear you. You're breaking up.
Huh?
I think our connection is bad.
Hello?
No. Yeah. I can't draw words right now. No, actually both factories are shut down. So
Yeah.
these eggs are dusted.
I go in the club and shoot blanks.
Yeah. So
Right.
we having a good marriage. Ain't no surprises on this side.
And y'all talked about all this before y'all got married and everything. Y'all like,
Oh yeah. It was like one of the
Yeah.
first things that came up.
Yeah, he knew that I was like, this would have to be a blessed baby. God had to come down off his throne and tap us both.
That's part of the introductions too. Like, look, I got this many and I'm not having any more. Like I said that from the get-go in the first DM. So
even in me dating, because I'm still in my 30s. So that was a big deal because there were still men out there who wanted children. Well, I ain't the one, so we can go ahead and kill that right there. We're done.
As you go along from the divorce, you learn exactly what to put up front. Like, okay, I know you probably gonna want kids, but it ain't happening with me. So we don't have to waste each other's times. You could go on your way and find your one, and I'm gonna go on my way and find my one.
So that's why God was like, hey, they're perfect. No,
he don't want
no kids. She don't want no kids. Boom. Okay. So yeah, no. To answer your question, that ain't happening.
That's too funny. Oh man,
I couldn't even imagine. Oh my god. Oh my god. The thought. Oh.
You done messed around and gave them nightmares.
I don't want to give people.
Oh no, we sleep good.
We sleep good because we ain't got no babies in this house.
It ain't gonna happen. Yeah.
No, we're just fine.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Okay.
That's funny. You wanna ask any more questions to?
I mean, I'm a therapist. I can always ask questions, but
What about you guys? Are you working on babies?
oh, every now and then, we'll, work on a baby.
Yeah. So, with and in our story, I mean, we've been trying for 8 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's almost 8 because we started a year after our 1 year anniversary.
Yeah.
So we've been foster parents. We've looked into adoption. We've done like all of these different surgeries and treatments and things of that nature. So like with us, talking about what we wanted out of marriage and knowing who we were, when we got married, we had no idea that infertility was going to be part of our story. But it kind of goes back to like when y'all were talking about when you were dating, you communicated all the time and you talked all the time and read all the books. For us, because we built up that level of communication with each other, that when we did come to this part of our story, we were able to navigate it without having a lot of trouble and tension in our marriage. Right. So, but I mean, we love trying. Like, we enjoy trying.
Yeah.
That's the fun part of marriage.
I mean, there is
we have no worries, so it's all good.
So yeah.
I'm just saying, like.
Well, I'm glad you're happy.
Oh man.
Work on it.
And what I do want to add, before we close out, is that something that's very important to me. And, I always want to give my husband public praise when I have the opportunity to. He affirms me every single day. There's not a day goes by where I don't get a text message or him telling me how amazing I am. And he has not missed a day since we've been together of saying, I just want you to know you're amazing. You're awesome, And she
rolls her eyes almost every time.
Because I'm like, whatever. I can't be that amazing every day.
Hot fire.
Even on my worst days. And that's something that I prayed to when I asked for God to send me a husband, was someone who would love me on my worst days. And he has done that. He has been extremely supportive. because even by him being on this right now, you know, he's very shy and, you know, very introverted, like I said before. And for me to say, hey, babe, you know, I'm doing a podcast. You want to join me? And without question, he's, yes, I don't care what it's about, you know, and it's even gotten to the point to where he's agreed to allow me to quit my job, you know, that second income, just so I can pursue my passions and my dreams. Yeah. So for those women who are out there who's saying, okay, I want a man who's 6 feet tall, who has 6-figure career, and that's great and all, but make sure you take out that particular thing and ask God for a man who's going to love you on your worst days. And if you have children, you're asking for a man who's going to love your children like their own. Because it's great if he's 6 feet tall, and it's great if he has $100,000 in his bank account, but will he love you the way you need to be loved? And will he support you the way you need to be supported? So to my husband, I say, I appreciate you. You've been my rock these last 2 years. And even when the kids were grieving the loss of their father, he took some hits as they were going through the grieving process. And it takes a very strong man to still stand up and say, I'm going to support this family, even in our worst times. So for those who are out there, you know, getting married or in the beginning of your marriage, always let your husband or your spouse know how much you appreciate them. You know, so I appreciate you.
You threw me off. I don't have nothing to say about that. I could at least prepared and had a dope speech like, hey, I appreciate you. Good.
You tell me every
Thank
day,
you.
so it's no need.
Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure you knew today, on this day, that I appreciate you. That's all.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. Y'all are just amazing. So Tanai, would you mind letting people know where they can find you on social media? Because I definitely, I admire y'all so much, and I know this is the first official time meeting you as a couple, but I'm just in love with you already, and I think more people should know about you and follow you and be in love with you, not in a weird way.
Well, I am on Instagram, so I am on Instagram at Tanai Benard-Turner. Do you want to share your Instagram? I know you in hiding. He's private. I'm that one that's out. So
you want to see my life, you just look at her life, and I'm somewhere in between there.
Yeah. Also, you can follow me on Facebook, same Tanai Benard-Turner. My website is tanaibenard.com. If you are a mother who enjoys traveling with your children, I have a Facebook group of about 20,000 women worldwide who enjoy traveling, where we offer them resources of how to basically show their kids the world literally. So that's Wandering Moms on Facebook. And we also have a website, wanderingmoms.com as well. So that's all the place you can find me. And if you want to find him, just find me.
I love it.
Awesome.
Okay. Well, Tanai and Darius, thank you so much for being here with us today. It has been our absolute pleasure to talk to you. And I hope that, for our audience, that you, if you are looking to get back into dating and marriage after divorce, that you have been able to learn some things from this amazing couple that is clearly doing it right. I love y'all so much. Thank you so much for being here.